Hello guys, welcome back. I had the best a day and the I'm not going to take your nonsense anymore day. Let me explain. Not only had they come and did the work they were supposed to do outside, but they hadn't disturbed my hedges, which is the first time in history anyone's ever done any work. And the guy that came, he says, well, how come the guy didn't dig it a couple months ago? I said, I don't know. He even borrowed one of my shovels and said he couldn't dig. He goes, oh. So they shut off the water. He got it done. He got it done in like 15-20 minutes at most. Worked perfectly. Left. Everything's fine. And Loki starts, burger. And at first I thought it was me. I'm like checking my discernment. I'm like, yeah, I want a burger. And then I heard, burger. I said, Loki, we're like down to this. And he's like, burger? I'm like, okay, because you're being cute. I'll take you for burger. And we're walking up, and I'm like talking to him. I says, do you want their burger or do you want gas station burger? And I'm like, would it be more of a celebration to get a burger and a Coke if I can find the pocket change for it, or to get DQ? And we're debating, and I'm walking past the friends. Now, remember what has happened over the last week. They waited until Good Friday to invite me when they had to know that because of my disabilities, I already had all my food bought. I'm like, okay. It was nice of you to invite me, but I declined because I was really sick. And I was just well enough to call them Sunday. Remember, Sunday I was super worried about them, and she didn't want to talk about that. She kind of hung up on me. And she says, well, he'll bring the food down. He did bring a beautiful tray of food down, which I did appreciate. And I walked the tray up to him the next day. And remember, I'd called her. The door was locked in my face, and he's pulling out. And he just shouts at me from the end of the driveway to put it on the chair. And I'm like, okay, count to 10. It's just mysterious how he's leaving the house every damn time I'm going. And so I put it on the chair, but she never called and said thank you for bringing it back or anything. And I'm like, okay, peace, and think happy thoughts. Well, as we're walking past, I see them both, and I'm like, you know what? I'm incredibly mad at these people because everything they do nice has to be on their terms and their time schedule. I'm kind of tired of them. And I was kind of ignoring them. I kind of gave them a vague wave. And as I'm walking past, since I didn't walk down their driveway and stop, because I'm like, the last time I did that, remember, they were just about kicking me out because they didn't want to hear about my problems. And I trust them since they're older and have a couple of decades on me to have damn sensible advice to give me. Well, they kicked me out practically the last time, and now he's like, the guy that, remember, he doesn't like me, disappears all the time. He goes, hey, real loud, like, how could I possibly walk by and not stop? I'm like, you kicked my ass out last time, and the last time I saw you, told me to leave the tray there and go home. So I walked past, and I said, you know, that fixes it. I'm in a bad mood. DQ keeps screwing up my orders. We'll go to the gas station. Go to the gas station. They have just some onions. None of the salad fixings, and I just didn't feel like asking her, waiting around for salads. So I was like, well, let's go to DQ. And we go to DQ, and nothing super special happens, but I go, do you want chicken and waffles, or do you want burger? Chicken and waffle? So chicken and waffles it was, and I'm like, well, okay. You know, I'll do it for him. So I'm bringing it home. And I obviously have my food with me because I don't drive a car. I have the bag in this hand and the drink in that hand. And I'm walking past her house. And she's out there because he's disappeared like he always does when he sees me. Shut up, Loki. And he's back here helping. And she goes, hey. Like I tied her to a tree in the middle of the woods and sounded this arcane horn that brings out elderly people eating monsters. Like I've abandoned her to her fate. And I just kind of gave her a nod because both hands are full. I'm like, damn it, woman, you do this every time you see me with my hands full. You think I got 15 minutes to stop and talk to you because... And then I'm like, your time's more important. My obviously being laden down with food, and remember, this is an ice cream store and a hot food store, so it's one or the other, is not as important as her wanting company at the time. And I'm like, I'm not even. So I walked home, and I didn't stop. And I thought I heard one of the guys say, don't be mean, don't be mean. And I walked home, and I was like, I know one of you probably expected me to stop, but she's damn inconsiderate. The relationship runs on her schedule, not anybody else's. She doesn't have time for you when she don't want to help you. And I came home, we had chickens. We played the rest of that game. Well, the rest of that stage and like some other stuff. And I was just mad. And the funny thing was, after I was done eating, I thought, well, I'll go up now. Maybe. I don't know. My temper's still pretty hot at the time. It had started raining. So I was like, I know she'll be inside. Good. The gods are saying, don't even. Don't go. And I'm like, this happened the last time too that I walked by and I was kind of busy and didn't have time to stop. Remember when I was super hungry? And I'm like, I think the gods are trying to tell us we really don't work well together. Maybe there are people that can take them running hot and cold like that. But I'm like, I need consistency. You don't even have to feed me. If you're nice to me each time you see me, that's a lot better than being nice to the point of getting me food one time and then the next time you don't have time to talk to me. You tell me to my face, your other friend's coming. And I'm like, just be consistent. Pick a lane. You either like me or you don't. And I've never been able to read if he likes me or not. I'll just get around to the thought of thinking he likes me, and then they'll do something. Same with her. And I told Loki, I said, remember that time when I thought they were space aliens who couldn't really mimic human behavior? That thought's coming back into my head. And he's like, mm-hmm. So that happened, and I'm just like, I'll give them a good leaving alone. If they don't see me for a month or so, then they'll be, they'll be nicer. But I was like, no, I'm not stopping. You can see I'm on my way somewhere, and you can see I have food in my hands on the way back. No, this relationship doesn't work on your time schedule. So I'm like, yeah. And it was just frustrating, guys, because I had tried to rally myself. I was like, well, I was so super worried about them. I was going to try to gum up Easter. They didn't want me, and they did send the tray down. But then the rude behavior the following day, and the rude behavior when I wanted somebody to talk to. It's like, these people really run hot and cold. And when they run hot, they'll run, hot enough to burn you, and cold will freeze you. So I'm like, I just like consistent people. You don't have to fuss over me all the time, but I don't want cold treatment either. So I'm like, you know what? I don't think we are good friends. I think maybe they're a little pissed because last year I had a little more money, so she got like a little plushie and stuff like that. And have that money this year. So I'm like, well, it's too damn bad. If you were just friends because you thought you'd get me to go to church or you thought you'd get nice gifts, well, surprise, you're not getting any of that. So, what are you going to do? Anything I give them is out of my own supplies. I have no idea if that's dawned on their tiny little minds or not. But yeah, I'll buy something for myself and then share it with them. But I'm like, you know what? No. And I think I was kind of Odin showing me that first my pack was there and then my pack wasn't there and then my pack was there and I couldn't stop calling to them. And it's definitely been Odin, and we've been talking about a lot of other stuff too. And the funny thing was, after we completed that super peaceful game, right? You complete the first stage where you're trapped on an island. And then you go and you play the two in-between stages. And the one's about an old lady that had cats and she dies and turns into a cat. This is an actual game. And then the second game is about this sweet woman. This sweet Viking woman that led her people to an island. And she died too, because everybody dies in this game, because it's about reincarnation, so everybody dies. And it's like, oh, I was a sweet Viking woman, that's nice, because I've told you guys about the game before. It's you're reliving your past lives, and you find out at the very end, but you might as well know, because it's one of those games where people really have to be into it, because it's a lot of back and forthing, and it is a beautiful game, but I could see how if you were into it, it would just drive you bonkers. And the clock part drove me bonkers today because everything else on that level is super easy, like practically hold your hand. You don't even have to think to do it. And it does take a little skill to do it, like throwing the stuff. I hate that part. But then there's the clock part, and it's too complicated, and I finally figured my way through it for the first time ever and didn't go to YouTube for a solution like I always do, so I felt pretty good about that. I said to Odin after we had it figured out, I said, I just don't like the way it's put together. I don't think it's put together in a way that works with my brain, because if I can't see things on a linear plane, if this like part's hidden here and that part's hidden there, I just I block all that part out. I'm very look forward, get that part, not always look around in the nooks and crannies. So I just didn't like that part, but we got through it. So we have like 4 or 5 more stages to go on that thing. And I really enjoy that game, but some of it is just, it feels like it's tedious, and it's like I said, skill stuff where you have to be able to throw and throw exactly. And I'd reviewed it a couple years ago, and I said, you know, I have essential tremors and I have very low vision. I said, I would appreciate kind of like an easy pass option where if you did have tremors or something, or you just wanted to enjoy the game, and something was too frustrating you, you could just hit a button and the solution would appear. I said, I don't think it would take away from the game for the people that want to play it the traditional way, and it wouldn't be hard to implement. But of course, they never got back to me because a lot of people were like, we don't want to hear from you people with disabilities because you piss us off because you want to have handicap accessible games. Which has been going on since the 1980s, guys, because people have said, hey, it would be nice if you would set this up. So, I don't know, it was one of those days. But the manifesting worked. I got the hedges exactly the way I wanted them. It was spooky. And I think Odin's kind of having me examine the friendship. And I was talking to various gods and goddesses, and I said to the one, I said, well, if we're going to have this relationship, it's definitely not going to be through these people, because that's not the way I see you. I don't see you coming with all these riders and these conditions. And I said, they're very poor Christians in the first place. I said, you're not a Christian and then hate gay people. You're not a Christian and then hate people of color. You're not a Christian and then hate minorities, or people trying to cross the border to survive because they're running from the crime and everything in their country. I said, that's, to me, that's not a Christian. That's not even a good pagan. It's not just the Christians that have to do this decent stuff. Pagans have to do it too. I'm like, they're not good people. I love them, and they can be very generous and kind, but it has to be on their terms at their time, and you never know when it's coming. It's not consistent. They're not the kind of people who will consistently help you out. It's very hot and cold. So I just figured I would share how the day went with you guys. So it did work out. And the funny thing was, I forgot to tell you, after we finished that game, came out, and damn if I didn't win a sword. And Odin's looking at this sword because it's a pirate sword. It's a beautiful big ass cutlass with that huge pommel and everything. And he's like, that's a nice sword. I'm like, yeah, that is a nice sword. And he's like, that's a really nice sword. And I'm like, yeah, but you usually have spears. Some seasonal. Yeah, but that is a really nice sword. So I put it for him in the temple, and for some reason, some of this stuff has wonky physics, and if it gets near something else, it throws a fit, spins up in the air and everything else. So that was interesting, but it settled back down, so he has a sword in there now. And we're working through how do we set the temples up, because they can't change every time I see a news article. It can't be like, oh, it's all peaceful because this dreadful thing happened, and then we start bringing stuff back in, and then, oh, it has to be peaceful because this dreadful thing happened. Dreadful stuff's always going to happen. And whatever I have in the temples, they have said they're useful, but it's not like if I put a cutlass or I put a spear or something in the temple or a BFG, it's not like it's going to make this world any worse. That's not what the temples are there for. So if you guys like what you see, like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you later. Bye-bye.